Spend all my money on pretty things, diamante shoes and all the
Olympus OMD M10 Mark IV, the beginner's camera. Why I've bought a beginner's camera? Let me tell you in this video now. Hi there, my name is Tudor Matescu and I've just bought OMD E-M10 Mark IV and I want to talk about this camera, why I've bought it and what are my first impressions, the good and the bad as a first impression. So if you are new to the channel, please subscribe to my video. On my channel I talk about photography, gear, tips and tricks, Olympus, Fujifilm, Sony cameras and so on. I use all these systems and I'm very passionate about street photography and camera gear. So let's get to the subject and talk why Olympus OMD E-M10 Mark IV. So the first point, why a beginner's camera? Well, Olympus said it is a beginner's camera. I don't agree with that. But using this camera, I really found out that they are really invested in making this camera a beginner's camera. How they invested it in that? By taking up and not putting good software functions on this camera. But about this complaint a little bit later. Why a beginner camera? Because in my point of view, it's not a beginner camera. And when you have some experience, you know that it's not always the camera. So this camera, it is fulfilling some of my needs for street photography and for photography in general. And I want to talk about these needs. So what OMD E-M10 Mark IV it is fulfilling for me? First, it has a very good sensor. It is the sensor of OMD E-M10 Mark V or a little below that. It's not clear yet what kinds of sensor it is, but when I look at the raw files and when I look at the raw files of OM1, the latest camera from Olympus, and from files from OM Mark II from Olympus that are having a good sensor, I feel this camera is not way behind. I'm not talking about the ISO performance at high ISO levels. I'm talking just about the grain and noise at normal ISO levels like 6400. So it has a very good sensor. I'm really satisfied with the sensor. The color, the sharpness and so on are extraordinary. The second point why I've chosen this beginner's camera, it is because it is very light. My first camera from Olympus was OMD E-M10 Mark II that was so light that I didn't felt it on my neck. And when looking at the specs, I found out that OM10 Mark II was a little heavier than this camera because it was magnesium alloy, and this camera it is plastic, composite plastic, another criticized part from the YouTubers. But this composite plastic that it's feeling really well in the hand, it's not feeling plasticky, it's making the camera lighter, and for me this is very important. The next reason why I've decided to buy this camera, it's of course my wife that stole my GX9 from me to shoot her own videos. So I was forced to get a new Micro Four Thirds camera instead of that Lumix GX9. The next reason, it's about the grip. The Lumix GX9 grip is not so good. It is there, but not so good as on this camera. This grip, it is extraordinary for this amazing lens that I really love, the OM 20mm f1.4 lens. Check my review about this lens, link in the card. Why I love this lens. So this 20mm f1.4 on this beginner's camera, it is staying amazingly good. I can wear this camera with this lens on my neck and I don't feel it. Also, if I add the 50mm lens, the macro lens, the 12 to 45 lens and the 45 f1.8 lens and so on from Olympus, I can get extraordinary good packages. I can get a camera with a lens that are very light, and I don't get this in Fujifilm. In Fujifilm I get this just with X100V. So having different focal lenses, I am able to have a very light camera with different focal lenses with this camera. Also, it's about the image body stabilization. The IBIS, it is crazy good. At 45mm, 19mm on full frame, I was amazed. I was able to work and shoot from the hand at a 90mm focal length. And this is one of the reasons why I like to shoot Micro Four Thirds. Check my review about why Micro Four Thirds for street photography, link in the card. Other reason, it's of course the screen. I like flippy screens like this. I don't like flip out screens. I like tilt screens like this. Olympus E-M5, it doesn't have a screen like this. Pen F doesn't have a screen like this. OM doesn't have a screen like this. And I like tilt screens. Another reason, it's the EVF. The EVF on OMD E-M10 Mark II was amazing, and this EVF it's also amazing. It is at the level of Sony camera and so on. The eye point, extraordinary. You can use this EVF with glasses with no problem. Extraordinary EVF, extraordinary IBIS, and very good image quality if you know what you are doing. So yes, it is a beginner camera, and if you are a beginner, this camera will force you to learn photography, to see the light, to understand what is important in photography. And the Micro Four Thirds camera teach me that. And I really appreciate the Micro Four Thirds system. What I don't like about this camera? Well, I don't like the fact that you must open the camera with your left hand. You don't have a button at your right hand. So this is a little annoying. And I don't like the fact that Olympus tried to make this camera a beginner's camera. It is feeling that they took out some options and some software options to make this camera force the beginners to upgrade to EM5 or OM or Pen F and so on. I really don't like that, because again, EM5 and other cameras from Olympus aren't cameras with a tilting screen. So let me give you a practical example. If you want to set the focusing points, you have one small focus point. After that you have a normal squared focus points, and after that you have the entire screen for focusing. You don't have an intermediary box. I don't know if I can change these settings, but for the moment this is it. Also, I've looked at the custom buttons. At the custom FN buttons, you can set just some functions, but I don't like that because it is limiting you. But this crippled software, it's not something that it is bothering me so much to not want this camera and to not use this camera. And this is why I can bypass and accept the fact that it has some limitings in customizations, but I feel that these limitings from the software are not affecting my style of shooting. Also, you don't have a minimum shutter speed setting on this camera, and other good settings that you have on Lumix GX9, for example. But you can skip that by putting the camera in manual mode, set your aperture, set your shutter speed, and set the camera on auto ISO. So you can customize the camera depending on the light and on what you are shooting. I'm using especially Micro Four Thirds camera when it is good light outside, when it is summer in travel situations, and I feel that I'm not bothered about these settings. So it's feeling that Olympus really tried to make this camera a beginner camera. But if you have experience, you can bypass these limitations. Yes, these software abilities that you have on GX9 or on Fujifilm camera or on a Sony camera, there are really some good options out there that are really helping you to get the shots. But for the moment I feel I can accept the mixings of these features, because how I've said, the camera, it is very light, the IBIS is extraordinary, the image quality, it is very good, and I have on Micro Four Thirds all kinds of extraordinary zooms, and this is another reason why I like Micro Four Thirds for the zooms. I don't find in any other system such beautiful, extraordinary and versatile small zooms that are helping you to get all kinds of shots. So I really like this camera. I wish OM system will not cripple the OM cameras in the future, the small cameras. How I said in my videos about the future of OM system, we need small cameras with good functions. We don't need just a big camera, extraordinary camera. We need a lineup with extraordinary functions in it. I don't feel that a small camera with good functions will cannibalize and will affect the sales of OM1 and so on. I really don't feel that. Because a camera like this, you use it for family, for documentary, photography and so on, and a bigger camera with good battery and all kinds of bigger lenses, you'll use it for travel photography, for wildlife photography and all kinds of other situations. A small camera with a bigger camera, because let's face it, it is bigger than OMD E-M10 Mark IV, will not compete against each other. Thank you for watching this video and please subscribe now for more content like this. Hit the like button, leave me a comment, and thank you very much for watching this video. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Well, I missed the kick in the big game, failed my driving test, misspelled my ex-girlfriend's name on the tattoo on my chest, 'cause I can't do nothing right, and I can't seem to get along. I've forgotten what it looks like on the other side of wrong. Yeah, I picked a fight with the boxer, scratched her names in town, gave a heart attack to the doctor, and lost my mama's dog.